Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for coming. My name is Jana Jenkins. I am the interim principal here at Brush High School, so I stepped in the role. I know some of you may have heard about Mr. Fording and his passing, so I did step into that role. And I do have with us here tonight Mrs. Latricia Jethro. She is one of our assistant principals. Also on staff, Mr. Jobs, who cannot be here tonight. He's on paternity leave. He is also an assistant principal. And then Mr. Kimani Smith, who is our ninth grade assistant principal. So that is our administrative team here at Brush High School. So we just want to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming. I do have here with us Mr. Jesse Blazier. He is one of our counselors, and we also have three other counselors on our counseling team, Miss Sarah Ball, Miss Bridget Johnson, and Miss Christy Myers. So your child, your student will get the opportunity to meet them at some point. But tonight we just kind of want to go over a general overview with you guys, go through some different things, welcome you to our high school, and at the end you guys can have an opportunity to actually tour and walk around the school if you choose. We do have a map. It is kind of a bigger building than Memorial, so it can be intimidating. You can sometimes get lost, but once you find your way, you'll remember it real easy. So if you would want to do that once we end the presentation, you are definitely welcome to do that. All right, so South Euclid-Lyndhurst, our district vision is that we are the destination school community. I'm sure you've probably heard that at one point in time, so we just want to definitely reiterate that with you. Our district mission is to educate, inspire, empower students to be high-achieving, contributing members of a global society. So we just wanted to go back over that. Those are our district core beliefs, our vision, and our mission. Here's our administrative team again. I just introduced that, but I'm Miss Jenkins. We have Mr. Smith. Miss Jethro, she is our 10th grade principal this year. And then Mr. Jobs is the 11th and 12th grade principal. He takes care of 2 grade levels. Our counseling team, Miss Ball, A through D, Mrs. Johnson, E through K, Mrs. Myers, L through R, and Mr. Blazier has last names S through Z. So that's how students are split up. They will keep that cohort from freshman year to senior year with that student. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mr. Blazier. He's going to talk you through some of these different things. Do you want the microphone?
I better, just in case they're using it on the thing. So, yes, I'm Mr. Blazier. Welcome. I was just saying I've been here now 26 years. Last century seems like 5 minutes ago, but to you, probably not. No, what can we really do for high school? The most important thing is if you can understand that first semester, it's going to be rough. What is your process to school? So you look at these things that you've all learned in junior high. Ms. Kennicott and I have talked about these in the past, that, what are your study skills? What is your organization? Ms. Kennicott and I used to work here at the high school. We had a principal who would always talk about your holy hour. What is the hour that you spend doing homework? What is from 6:30 to 7:30, from 4:30 to 5:30? What is that time period that you have that organizes your life, that structure that you can study? Okay, because time management, it's amazing. I have 3 teenagers at home. The busier they are, the better they are with their time management. This week, my daughter swimming just ended. My son sort of finishing up hockey. They don't really have as much practices, and all of a sudden, they're sitting there. I'm like, guys, we got to go with homework. When you're busy, you've got to do it. It's almost like too much time. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. That you think, oh, I'll get to it later. So that's why that structure. If well, I do my homework at 7 o'clock. I do whatever it is that works for you. That helps with your time management. And obviously, reading, writing, and math. I taught 9th grade for 10 years. And I said, I know we're all hooked on phonics, but what is it that we have as far as our reading comprehension? And that's what you'll see a significant, when you look at critical thinking, that's a significant jump from junior high to high school that you have to understand. And, making good choices. I mean, this is America. Everybody in their pockets got the entire world now in the palm of their hands. What is the good choices that you're going to make for yourself? And like I said, navigating that technology. Own the phone. Don't let the phone own you. I mean, that's, what we need to look at. Because you do want interpersonal skills. I mean, what am I going to text Miss Jethro here. I said, oh, hi, Miss Jethro. I mean, we need to understand, the interactions that go along with that. Because if you do have the good habits and attitudes now for success in high school, it's just amazing. So from this, next 6 months here before you start high school, just think about these things. And it's a process. But, it's amazing if you can just sort of put these into play, when you're doing your homework. The phone is in the other room, God forbid. Things like that, it can be important. Now, we start at 7:50 and go to 2:50. We have 50-minute classes for the most part, and you get 5 minutes between classes. So it's just a matter of, getting there. That when I first started, we only had 4 minutes. So now with 5, there might be 2, maybe if you have a class in the gym, all the way to the D wing, because we do have 4 wings to the school. So right now we're essentially in the A wing. Over there, behind you to your left is the B wing. Behind me over here is the C wing, and then way over there where the cafeteria is the D wing. So it's not so much a big building as it's just sort of a long building. So just something to be aware of. And when we're done with today, you guys will actually have a time to tour the building. We have blue maps in the back there if you want to see where that is. And it's great. We do have breakfast 30 minutes prior to every school day. And the one thing is the big adjustment for a lot of families is no bus transportation. So you having to get here every day is important. That's why we were open at 7:15 for that to happen. So many varsity sports, and in some ways even better, junior varsity sports. We have a lot of kids, go out for a team for the first time and play on a team, learn the sport, whether it's soccer or what have you, that can be a lot of fun, is that, being part of that. And once again, that, gives you a different sense of the school. You do have to pass 5 classes, okay, in the quarter preceding the sport. So for those of you who want to play a fall sport, spring quarter will determine if you're eligible for fall sports. We do final exams twice a year. So we do a first semester final exam. This year it's in January. It's usually in December, depending on how the calendar falls. But at the end of the first semester, that's actually 10% of your semester grade. And then we'll do them again in May and June. Usually it's overlap right after Memorial Day. And once again, that's 10%. So 45% is first quarter, 45% is second quarter, and then 10% becomes your final exam to make up each semester grade. So obviously, with 7 classes, you have more classes with various teacher expectations, and, you do have a lot more opportunities. We had a meeting last week, and if you have further questions, you can always email us about CCP. That can be a nice option for kids, especially older students. It can be a little bit of a daunting for 9th graders. But if you do have more questions, Ms. Myers is always available to talk to you about that. And then with different clubs, we have many clubs and things like that. Like we talked about, extracurricular activities, definitely opportunities for leadership roles. So, Jim, if you are a Memorial student and you're in physical education, you're actually done with your physical education requirement. If you're in health, you're done with your health requirement. So that's the minimums, okay? And then if you're in algebra or Spanish, you are getting high school credit, okay? I guess music appreciation. So I guess if you did all of those classes, you could get as much as 2.5 credits towards graduation, okay? Obviously the big thing here, PE and health are high school requirements, while the others are just electives. So, what do you need to graduate from high school? So I always try to think like 4, 4, 3, 3, 3. Okay, so what that means is, 4 years of English. So, every year you're a student for the most part, you're going to take an English. 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. Okay, so that's key. Obviously, math we talked about was 4. Now, if you took algebra in 8th grade, I guess theoretically you could fulfill your requirement at the end of your junior year. Though if you're that good at math, you're probably better off to continue with math. But it is a 4-year math requirement. Okay, we talked about the health. So if you're at Memorial, you're probably done with your health requirement. If you haven't done it, then We do have health classes here, don't worry. We have a fantastic array of health classes. We've got personal wellness. We've got different classes that talk about some different aspects of health. It's not just the basics. So we have plenty of students that take health again here, but they don't take the actual health. They'll take a health class, but it's an elective choice. We talked about physical education. We do have another example. We do have some other physical education classes that you're able to take. By going to Memorial, you've done your requirement, but now we'll also then have some other options. Science is probably the most, science social is probably the most complicated, because science, one of them has to be a physical science. It doesn't have to necessarily be physical science, but it has to be a physical science. One of them has to be a life science, which is biology. Then third science has to be an upper level science, so I guess theoretically that could be environmental science, chemistry, or physics. Obviously, you're only going into 9th grade. You don't have to worry about that just yet. But those are just some examples of some electives. But those are some science classes we have. Social studies, everybody for the most part starts with world history. As I said, that's what I taught for 10 years. Followed by U.S. history, and then our option we have government, which is sort of broken up into 2 semesters. Government's 1 semester, and financial literacy is the 2nd semester. So that is your social studies requirements. And then, just as you see, you have the ability to take, you need at least 5 electives. Social studies, you have numerous electives available to you that go beyond those 3. So here's where it gets a little complicated. I'm having right now, I haven't had seniors for a long time, so going over this with the seniors. You see that obviously we talked about the grades. Now, second, show competency. So that's the easiest way to do it, is to get a 684, which is a competence score in English and algebra on the test. So if you're in 8th grade right now, theoretically you're taking your exam for high school math, okay? So that requires a 684 score. So if you're not in algebra now, you'll take that in 9th grade, and that is when you earn the score. If you don't earn that, then you retake it at least once. Then English is now a 10th grade requirement. So 10th grade is when you take your English test, and that is the, again, 684, and we call it the English Language Arts 2, because it's the 2nd year of your high school. That's where you score that. So let's say you don't pass that. This is where it gets to be complicated. So for example, you have to get we have proficiency in a credential. So we have different paths for students to do that, whether that's through their career tech program or different programs we have here. Then we also have the Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal. So all these things go along with that. Obviously, if you're going to join the military, that's the thing. Obviously, I'm hoping no one's joining the military just to graduate from high school. I mean, I'm hoping we can, if you want to join the military, that's wonderful. However, I don't want it to be you feeling like that's how you need to graduate from high school. And then supposedly option 3, I don't know how that would happen, that you're able to take college coursework after you haven't passed the score, since you have to pass a certain entrance exam in order to take college classes. So that's probably unlikely, but nevertheless. Then third is what we call these seals. So we have all these different seals that our students have to achieve. So you can see those 3 top 4 or 5 already explained. The citizenship seal is based on your U.S. history and your U.S. government courses and exams that you take. So just like I said, you take an exam at the end of algebra and English. You also take one at the end of your U.S. history and government classes. Then science, you also take one at the end of your biology class. All those are ways to earn seal by scoring a passing score of 700. Then all these are other different seals that are available to you. Community service seal is probably the easiest and most admirable to achieve, because you do 60 hours of community service to earn your seal. You do need 40 hours here at Brush High School in order to earn in order to earn graduation, you do 40 hours community service. And that's anything you're doing for someone not related to you where you're not being paid. So I will say probably the best thing that kids do here, and it's win-win for everyone, is we do have a lot of students volunteer at the concession stands, which has been a great opportunity for them to sort of give back, mess around with their friends. It's actually been great. Then if you're doing the plays or in sports, that's how you earn those, and that's got different areas to go along with that. Okay, so just this graphic to explain it. You can see just the basics of the credits: English, math, social studies, science, PE, health, and then your 5 additional credit hours along with community service. Then showing the competency, like we said, in English and math, or some of those others below it. And then those are listing all the seals that we talked about just a moment ago. So we talk about this as, the sort of the ARCS creed, if you will, that, if you can just arrive on time, all right, it's just amazing how it all sort of works. That you get here, you're in your seat when the bell rings to first period, and then it's just amazing how it just sort of works out. I can't explain it. But then, pay attention in class, reviewing your notes, things like that go along with the basics there. Organized, and obviously, I think back to my folders I had in high school and everything like that. Obviously, you get a handful of papers today, but I mean, so much now is digital that, it's just a matter of organizing that. And the teachers do a good job sort of explaining the platforms and things like that of how things are presented. So, you have a conversation with the student, they're 95 times out of 100 can explain to you exactly where this is located, whether it's a puzzle of some type online. And then, like I said, people are happy to help you here. All right, we didn't get into this profession just for the summers off, guys. All right, we do like helping students. We do like working with families. There's nothing better than what we like to see than students achieving, talking about, what they want to achieve and the goals that they can achieve. Just the different, we all are different, we all have our different path, and that's something I really do want to, to stress, though. You are running your own race, okay? Don't worry about Jimmy or John. You may think they're ahead of you in the race, but, it's just the angle of the race, all right? You guys are all on the same path, but you're running your own race. So, Ms. Kenny will be talking about forecasting. This is a big part of, this is actually probably one of the most important things I'm mentioning here today, guys, is what class do you want to take next year? Take that time seriously about what class you want to take. Are you ready for a foreign language? Are you, do you want to take Spanish? Do you want to take sign language? These are the times to do that. Do you want to, get a special, physical education class? Are you wanting to be in the band? What are these things that's, goes with that? Now, the teachers, are making recommendations on these 4 subjects about that. And like I said, we do have certain electives that are not available for 9th graders, like psychology and things like that, are not available for a 9th grader. So, make sure you know what you are available to take and, interests. I mean, we have an art department, probably second to none here, that, we have the amount of kids that just, things they do and amount of time they spend on their art, it just amazes me. And those opportunities available to you here. So, I mean, if that, interests you, I mean, we've got, 3 different levels of ceramics, which, I proudly display my ceramic mug I made in 6th grade in 1986 on my desk. And the kids said, did you really make that? I'm like, you think I would keep this here for someone else? I mean, but nevertheless, the point is, they're making far better things than I could ever even dream of. So, and that's just ceramics, painting, drawing, graphic design. All these things are available, okay? But you do have to forecast for them. You can't say, I think I want to take that. All right, so when the counselor asks you to select this, you need to select it. Thinking you want to do something is great, but we do need you to sort of follow through on that, and these opportunities can be available to you. Because we want to see you be successful in high school. Okay? So, like I said, with the music, we have band and orchestra, choir. We've got a great choir, 2 different We have American Sign Language and Spanish, as I mentioned, all the different fine arts, all the different health and PE, and then the different electives. Actually, elective that's become wonderful. I couldn't be happier about it. Is the yearbook has now become a very popular. At one point, we had like 2 kids in yearbook. Now we're telling kids they can't take yearbook because it's too full. So that's been a great to see, because the kids really, get a good idea about all that process, but then the school spirit that goes with it. So that's really been just a wonderful thing. Obviously all the different other things that go along with that. I mean, we've got 3 terrific engineering, or I think we have up to 4 engineering electives, for example, which are terrific. So, you have no interest in engineering, that's fine, but maybe you want to take the introduction, or you want to take robotics. These are just things that are available if you want to do that. So here's just a basic schedule. English, algebra, world history, physical science. Maybe you're in the band, maybe you're in Spanish, and then maybe you take an art class, or maybe you take a gym class. Just for example of what your schedule might look like. So in order to get to 10th grade, you need to have 4.5 credits. So, under our, scenario, many of you have already come with 1 credit with the health and the gym. So then you would only need to earn 3.5. All of you here, though, I know are going to earn 6 or 7 next year, so that's a moot point. Bottom line is, so you do need 4.5 credits, and then, just, doing the community service along the way is so great. Just anything that someone not related to you that you're doing, your neighbor, you're going to help your neighbor move, you're raking leaves. Those can be fantastic ways to do some of these things. So next year, this year, and then next year, we've got some other classes we've had that'll go along with that. You can see these are just some examples that have been offered. Definitely a lot of science options, and just different classes. Obviously, some of these are not just history through popular culture will be available for 9th graders, Zumba hip hop, things like that. But like forensic science or principles of engineering are going to be sort of in older classes. But your counselor explained that to you a little bit better. So we'll meet with you in 8th, to go over these selections the coming weeks. And then if you have questions, you can always ask your memorial counselor. Ms. Kennica pretty much taught me everything I know, so I think you're in pretty good hands there. So I'm not terrible. To say I'm not worried is be an understatement. But yeah, all the different sports we have, it really, like I said, it really is such a great option, for the fall sports. We have volleyball, cross country, golf, cheerleading, tennis, soccer, all those fall sports, I guess football, just a great way to sort of give yourself a great introduction to high school, okay? But once again, time management's key. All these things start, for the most part, all these sports in high school start August 1st, but it is a great sort of segue into the high school career. The winter sports, they're no joke. Some of these sports are going from end of October into March. So, the spring sports are like, oh, it's great. This is like 5 minutes. But the winter sports, I don't know. It seems like those take by far the biggest time out of your life. So if you like them, they're fantastic. But just be ready for those. And then all the different clubs and activities that are available. AVTV club. These poor guys who I love to be miserable too. They're working today here. They're doing all that they can. It's just terrific. I mean, they're basically we've got high school kids running cameras here. Running the soundboard up there. Okay, so I mean, this is not it's not like we're bringing 30-year-olds in here to do this. I mean, this is kids part of this club doing things, making this happen essentially, if you will. All right, thanks to them. So that's just one example in addition to all the other things. Environmental clubs is a fun one where we try to recycle paper and they go around and collect it and talk about those things. So not just off the top of my head with some of those right there. So cannot stress enough communication that you've heard myself, you've met Ms. Jethro, Ms. Jenkins here, that we really want to see you communicate with us. That, you know, the school website does a pretty good job sending email, school mailings. But if you don't see it, you just email, you know, your counselor. Just email, you know, assistant principal here. That you'll be amazed how quick you can get an answer. Because some of these things, it's just a matter of finding it on the website. So that, you know, that's the big thing. And then just, you know, trying to view the progress and the grades. And we'll give that a little better explanation in August. Any questions, though? Don't be shy. So the seals, you need 2 seals. So the big thing here is that on a local level, if you were to like played a sport for a number of seasons or been in arts, whether it's music or what have you, or drama, that can get you a seal on the local level. The big thing here is that these tests are determining seals for you. So the easy ones, so to speak, are in social studies and science. So those are the ones you take a test and you get a seal. The other seals, though, you know, we have different, you know, programs for them. So, for example, we're looking at the industry recognized credential seal. So our students right now are working on that seal for many of them who did not achieve the grade. So we have a program here. So we're going to probably, we've been doing it with our seniors now, but we're probably going to do it more with our juniors going forward here, just so that way they have that just done and out of the way. So this is part of their diploma. Yeah, everyone, I mean, I suppose theoretically people could do more. And so the big thing is, yes, if you pass the test, it's really a non-issue. If you don't pass the test, then you have to listen to me. these poor kids. The alternative path, I missed the word alternative. That would probably be the best way to. So, but obviously you do need them, and these are all some other than the. I guess the middle ones are your traditional pathway, and the top. So, good work. Other questions? Definitely not my strength, the seals. Please go ahead. Sports is determined by the state of Ohio, so you do need to have passed 5 classes for sports. Clubs, we generally like to see that as well. I suppose it's not, you're not going to forfeit the club if you show up to a meeting, but you know, if you play in a game and you don't have 5 classes passed, you would forfeit the game, so that becomes a little more serious. But yes, theoretically, clubs, yes, as well. Well, thank you. I'll give the microphone here to Ms. Jenkins and say goodbye to you, and thank you, and look forward to working with you guys next year.
Thank you guys all for coming. We do have those blue maps in the back. If everybody, you know, you guys want to tour around, we'll be here. If anybody has any questions, one area to point out, down this C hallway, if any of you are interested in esports, that is a new addition to our school this year. I don't know if you've seen it on the websites, but it's our new club where students do go after school and they play like Super Smash Brothers, Rocket League, or is that Rocket League? I think there's so many different other ones, but so that's down the C wing if you want to check it out. It's a newly remodeled room. And then like Mr. Blazier was saying, down there, the D hallway, that's where our cafeteria area and all that's located, newer area. So feel free to walk around, ask us any questions. We will be here. Thank you guys for coming.